Hey, so wanted to give you guys an update on the stem. I actually got to go out of town this weekend, so I won't be doing much in terms of physical work on this box. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna take my stuff with me. But I won't be doing much in terms of physical work on this box. But I got a couple parts coming in. I did want to go over these crimpers. Actually, kind of a review video. I think that's pretty popular. This won't be that great because I don't have a tripod. I definitely should get one. I probably will be because I can see the need for one. So essentially, I got two different crimpers. This one here is, I like the way this feels, and it looks kind of cool because it looks like a spider mouth. Like the little mandibles on a spider. So that's how spiders sound, by the way. They sound like that when they talk. Okay, let me stop. So I got these crimpers here, a little bit bigger, have more tools on them in terms of like crimping insulated terminal ends. These are the heat shrink type. But these are nice, but I have to do quite a bit in terms of actually setting them up and putting them and actually crimping a cable. So let me show you guys. This is going to be, put this on a little platform. Alright, so for me to actually set this up, to put a cable in, I have to put it in like so. And then I have to properly adjust it so it strips like that. And it's not bad. I mean, it works. If I'm doing, you know, more of just same size cable, it's pretty good. It also has a little piece here where you can flip that out, pull it up, and go right here, so it can actually hold the cable at a different height. You can adjust. Hold the cable at a different height. You can adjust it. Is this focus? There we go. You can adjust it here for smaller, larger cables. It actually has a really good grip. I think it's pretty. I think it's really a nice cable stripper here, and I really do like it. I think it's gonna be good for like if you have to really go down in the middle of a cable and actually splice it right there. So for instance, if I have to expose the middle of this cable, I would put it in here, it would grab it at the bottom and then cut it here at the top. So boom, and then it separates the jacket right there, which is really nice. I think that's really where it can actually shine. Then it also has a cable cutter. This is the Mulwark 8-inch automatic wire stripper and crimper. The MLK-53744. I'll put that in the description notes. It can actually strip solid 24 to 10 gauge and stranded 24 to 10 gauge. And also has a crimper for insulated cable ends and cable ends in general, or cable terminals. For non-insulated terminals, it can strip 22 to 10 gauge, and for insulated terminals, it can strip 22 to 10 gauge as well. So pretty much that's really cool here. And this is the portion of it that comes as the back plate to the actual cover. You can see some of the things that it does. Has an adjuster knob, wire stripper, or wire stopper, that is. So that's what that ladder is for. This little thing here at the top actually stops the wire, so you put it in here if you want it at a certain length and you want it to strip a certain portion of it, it'll actually stop right there, which is nice. And then of course it does the stripping. Now this was sold, I forgot who it was sold by on Amazon. It's on my phone, but I'm not gonna look that up now. But YTH self-adjusting cutter stripper, 4th generation products. Length is 6.5 inches for single and multiple cable sections, 0.5 to 6 millimeters. It's a 2-in-1 tool, so it actually is a cutter and a stripper. It does not have the terminal, termination block or section that you actually normally would get. And the color codes on those terminals is for the different size terminals or different gauge wire terminals that you can use. So for instance, the red is usually 22 or 24 to 16 AWG, and then blue, and I think the yellow is the largest in your you know, your smaller size wires. this is the device. I really do like it. Actually, just to let you guys know, I prefer this over the other device. This right here does not require much in terms of adjusting. It also has inches here on this side, but I'll be using mostly the metric side here. So usually most of this wires, for when I have to crimp them, it's probably about 3 millimeters. One thing I did notice on this one, it requires to be greased on the back here, which that's pretty cool. Allows for smooth movement. I'm not sure what this adjuster knob does. Maybe it's just for it to be taken apart. Just started actually looking at this and working with it today. But one thing I noticed is, for instance, if I have to work with a smaller wire, so the wire before this right here is about a 16 AWG, or is a 16 gauge wire. This right here, let me cut this. So this wire right here is a this is a 18. This is 18 AWG. So for this, it'll still strip it. It'll still work. But then if I go to a smaller wire, give me a moment. Let me get one. So these are your wires that you really get for your GPIO pins. A lot harder to cut in terms of getting the right size, but for this one, move a little bit further, it grabs in the mandible, it strips pretty fine. But for instance, sometimes if you don't adjust it properly, or if you're adjusting from larger wire to a smaller wire, you actually have to make the change here. So this tool at this setting right now, which is pretty much closer to the default setting that I got it with, but you would have to refine that to make sure it fits for your wires. I have to adjust it a little bit more. Personally, when I was actually testing it earlier and working with it, I noticed that I had to adjust it to a little bit more, but it's actually working better than I had seen previously in terms of with this adjustment. So this adjustment, I'll probably keep it where it is. And that's another good thing about this one, is that it is adjustable, so you can get larger wires. As you can see, the mouth of it right here is a lot larger, so that you can actually work with larger wires, as well as this one's pretty large too. So they're close to about the same. Yeah. This one looks a little bit bigger, but I'm not really trying to be biased about that. I don't really care because I'm dealing with smaller wires. Most of the wires that I'm going to be working with, coming from this project, with this project, is going to be probably 16 AWG, the largest is I'm going to work with, and then I'm going to be going smaller from there. So with this wire stripper crimper, or the wire stripper really, so this is only a wire stripper. This is the inch side, so I'm going to do the millimeters. What's cool is I'll slide it in, and it measures from, okay, focus. There you go. Sorry about that. But it measures from this this little edge right here, and this grabs the cable. I kind of don't like this portion of it because it might put too much stress on the cable itself, the cable jacket, and cut into the wire. But I have not seen that happen, so it's probably just paranoia on my part. If I push this in just a little bit, let's do it here with my right hand so I can get a better angle. But I push that in, and on the other side, of course, I'll be measuring with metric. But go here, and literally it's just as simple as going like this, and it comes off. Now, as you can see, it kind of squeezes the jacket there, which is okay because it does not go through the jacket, but it does give a nice finish to the wire itself. It doesn't pull it too much, and doesn't make it, if it's a stranded cable, it doesn't make it to where it's kind of flared all over and apart. It actually keeps it together, which is nice. Let's work with now let's work with the cutter real quick. Cut this cable, prepare it for us to use. And I notice, like, when I'm actually cutting things with this or stripping, it's very fast. So for instance, if I go like this here, go again, like, it's really fast taking things off there and actually stripping wires. And as you can see, it's crimping it, and I don't really have to worry about adjusting up to a larger wire or smaller wire. So I went from my really small wire. This is, I don't know what gauge this is. This is your regular GPIO type wire ends that they use for these jumper cables. It might be, I think it's a 22 gauge. 22 gauge, because I've used other wire strippers. Again, go through here, cut my wire, and then go through here, and then I could just remove the jacket. Here again, remove the jacket. So I really do like that. So I think I'll be using this a lot more in terms of like working with smaller cables. For instance, when I'm working with these JST connectors or these cables that come with these battery packs, and I'll give you guys an update about that. But working with these battery packs so I can actually connect a whole a rocker switch to them. This would have been really nice to actually have these wire strippers and actually use them and put in and use it to actually splice these wires so I can get a nicer cut, and I wouldn't have to worry about, like, you know, unnecessarily needlessly damaging the jacket or anything like that. So that's really cool. But yeah, that's it for these two crimpers. I really do like both of these crimpers, I'm not gonna lie. I like the way this feels in my hand, but as far as functionality, I do like the way this feels. The only con about this one is that it, for me, in terms of paranoia, it pinches these jackets a little bit too much, and I really don't like that, because it could lead to, like, you know, degradation in the well, I can't really say that, but I've had problems, you know, where I've stripped wires before in the past, and it you know, I might have cut through the jacket a little bit too much. This one just squeezes the jacket too much for my liking, but I'm willing to stick with it, and it's fine, because pretty much this is going to go into any one of these terminal ends anywho, and it should be fine. As far as this one's concerned, I do like the fact that it is adjustable. I can get larger wires in there and actually cut through those. Also, as far as you working with it with the larger handle, with the longer handle, that's really nice, so you can get a little bit more control. This one, in terms of its handle, is nice as well. I can't really say it's a bad thing to actually have it, or actually I can move the phone away now. I can't say it's a bad thing in terms of being in my hand. Gotta be careful, I guess, getting it down there, but they have some guards, so you can't really get your thumb in there, so that's fine. But you'd be dumb if you did it anyway. This one is nicer because, or this one is nice as well. If you're working with the same size wire, definitely this is going to be great. All the same. Also, you can actually get the same type of cuts with this actual wire stopper. For what I'm going to be doing, it doesn't matter so much, but I definitely will be keeping this in my tool bag. I will not be returning it. I'm going to be working with it, and if anything, I'll probably actually put it in put it in my tool bag for work. And as far as this project and doing anything with these smaller wires and different size wires, because sometimes I have to move from the 18 gauge to a larger gauge, possibly maybe even jackets like this. Well, I would use this spinning wire stripper where I would spin it around, working with these smaller GPIO pin or GPIO jumper cables. So when working with that, I like this one here because it's adjustable. So far, I really do like both of them, so I will be keeping both of them. This one is, I believe, $9.99, and this one is probably about $11 on Amazon. Link in the description, I'll put that in there for you guys to use. But I do like both of these, and I prefer this one over the other just for this project, but this will definitely be in my tool bag. Alright, general update about the project. So working with this, adding this rocker switch here, these rocker switches, I got them from Amazon as well. One thing I'm going to be doing is these terminal ends here, I'm going to be cutting them a little bit short so I can get a little bit more flexibility out of these cables. That's been a problem, somewhat of a bane in my existence, especially with shorter cables. You can cut off these ends here. These heat shrink insulated cables are really nice. They really do protect the ends. That's really nice. I really do like that we can actually, that I can actually put these cables in, and I could feel good about these ends not coming out. So these are the heat shrink insulated. Yeah, I think it's the heat shrink insulated terminals. But the problem is when I have to melt those heat insulated terminals, I believe I damaged the other battery, which is this battery here. It doesn't totally look like I did. It feels flat. But when I actually hook it up to any one of these battery boards, these boards actually allow for charging of the battery and then break out to, so I can hook up a Raspberry Pi or another powered USB device. So what I noticed is, is that it doesn't charge anymore. Also, I had a problem with one of these cables where the little notches that stick up here that keep it in place, the little retention clips, I guess you would say, it caused a problem, and they were actually really used because I've been using a lot, like plugging in and out and everything like that. So I replaced that cable, but it was causing the Raspberry Pi to shut down and the battery became unstable, and I believe that's because the heater that I was using to melt the insulated cable, these insulated ends, caused a little bit too much, affected the battery too much possibly. I got a little bit more testing to do, but I think that's what it is. So I ordered a new battery, also a new battery board. The new battery that I'm getting, I ordered one from Adafruit. They had one that was 6600 milliamps, and then I found another one that has the JST connector and is actually 10,000 milliamps, so 10 amps, I guess you would say. The new board is going to be a red one, and it's going to have, I think it's going to actually have 2 JST connectors, so I can have 2 batteries if I wanted to, which will be a bit of overkill, but I can get things like that separately, which is really nice, and then I can hook up my own battery or even cluster of batteries, what have you, and then have 2 of those. And it actually has it to where you have an actual meter that shows you how much the batteries have charged. And then that second board allows, with this board, if you disconnect the power source or change the power source, it will actually restart the Raspberry Pi. Hasn't been a big deal, but you know, Raspberry Pis aren't something where I'm gonna need full-time redundancy or anything like that. They're just mainly gonna, in this project, they're mainly gonna be collecting data, and then also I'm gonna write code to where they'll pick up where they left off, depending on the task that they were doing. So it'll stay within its time frame. The red one, the new one, allows it to where I can disconnect the power and it would seamlessly switch over to the battery and then back to like just regular power and then still charge the battery. So that's going to be cool. That's an improvement there. The new battery, the 10,000 milliamps, or 10,000 or 10 amps, I should say, or milliamp hours. So 10 mAh. So 10 amp hours. That one is actually gonna have okay, sorry, I got a text from a coach for one of the athletes. I got to get ready for a track meet this week, so we're going to States, so dealing with that as well. What else where was I? Yeah, so that battery is going to be a bigger one, and it's going to last for a lot longer. I was actually looking at one other battery, and I think it was like 14-hour battery life with a Raspberry Pi, not really doing much, just booted into the desktop environment. So it's really good. And it should, with the other battery, it should fit underneath this here, so I can actually still keep it compact. With the 6600 battery, it was 3 2200 milliamp hour, like almost like AA type batteries, or your like little fat picky batteries. And those, there were 3 of them daisy chained to one another, so I would have had to put it somewhere else in here to try and make it all fit, or actually up the these risers here, which would kind of throw things off a little bit here in the case. So I'm able to get a better battery and get also a better board. One thing that's going to be really cool, and I didn't know they had these, Adafruit makes them, and I'm actually looking to probably making my own, but these JST connectors, I thought, like, you know, you can't really make those or what have you yourself, but they I'm sure you can, but I still got to look it up. But Adafruit has it to where these cables here, they have male and female ends, so I can actually have a jumper between the battery, so then I can put my insulated terminals on there, not damage my battery like I did with this one. It caused heat damage to it possibly, and probably even pulled on the cable too much, who knows. Like I thought I was careful, but obviously it wasn't enough to where now this battery does not charge. The board works fine, so these boards are cool. They're not a problem, and I can just keep working with this battery in another project as well. So that's not an issue. And then I can also now I know that I can get these batteries separately. So I'm learning more, and it revealed a couple other things for me. Don't want that to fall off. So now I'm going to get a bigger battery, better board that can actually do 5 volt of output, I believe. Actually, oh no, it could take 3.7 volt. These batteries are 3.7 volt, 30 milliamp hours, right? And the new battery is going to be 3.7 volt, 10,000 milliamp hours. So that's going to be really good. Altogether, I'm learning a lot from this whole project and doing it, putting it all together. So yeah, as always, thank you for watching.